Hey guys, welcome back to the Guilty as Charged podcast. Very excited today to be joined by a special guest, Mr. Jordan Tucker, the host of Cowboys Fans Only. Jordan, how you doing today, man?
Doing great, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. We were just chatting off air, just really excited that football is back. Really excited that, both of the Chargers and Cowboys had some stressful weeks. The Cowboys came up short against the Buccaneers, and the Chargers came out on top on Washington, which will help your team down the road. Which
exactly, great job beating the divisional foes. Job well done.
Yes, it was a fantastic game to watch, and even though the Cowboys came up short, it was a great game that week. So we are here to preview the Chargers and Cowboys matchup, and I think it's only right that we start about Dak Prescott because I know there was the ankle injury and the recovery process, and then the shoulder injury. But he looked very healthy last week. Was that kind of by design, or was that more about missing Zach Martin and the Buccaneers defense really being stout against the run? Because he looked great.
Yeah, I think it was a combination, a little bit of everything. I think Zach Martin being out last Thursday's game was definitely a key factor going into the game plan, because I think that was a question mark not only for fan bases outside of Dallas Cowboys fans, but just us internally as well. We didn't know how Dak Prescott would look because, he's been out for a month or so with the shoulder injury. He had the ankle surgery last year, 2 ankle surgeries, actually, no preseason reps. So that was the question mark, is like, how many, opportunities was he really going to get opening night? But you see clearly they opened it up and he was throwing like he's never thrown before. And to kind of see him come out there and really put the team on his back, it was refreshing as a Cowboys fan, man, because we've seen Ben DiNucci and Garrett Gilbert and Andy Dalton to finally actually have Dak Prescott out there. It was like a sigh of relief, and he was ready. And so that's a great sign for a lot of us Cowboys fans moving forward.
Yeah, and I think Dak really played well. I think he is going to continue to shut up some doubters, and man, it sure seems like he's on pace to throw for like 6,000 yards this year. Yeah. It's wild.
Exactly. Yeah, if you had me to take an over under how many throws he was going to do, there is no way I would have 50. But that's what it warrants sometimes when you're playing against a great like Tom Brady. Yeah. Like, we really had to go blow for blow with Tampa, but unfortunately we fell short.
Yeah. But good news for Dak. It was great to see him back there and healthy. Obviously, the health of Zach Martin was a big thing last week. This week, there's the news of the suspension of La'el Collins. What can you tell our listeners about the moving parts around the Cowboys offensive line? Should we expect to see Martin kick out to right tackle? Or what do you kind of foresee happening with the offensive line this week?
Yeah, coming into the offensive in season, as far as the offensive line is concerned, we've had question marks due to health. La'el Collins was out last year, and also we had injuries with Tyron Smith, but also Zach Martin got nicked up last year. So the depth was always a concern, which is me personally. I would have took the guy that you guys took in the draft who played great yesterday, and Rashawn Slater, but unfortunately we didn't. But Micah Parsons is still a great draft pick. So as of right now, I would say that Zach Martin is going to be stashed at right guard. I don't think the Cowboys are going to make the smart move by kicking him out the right tackle and plugging in Connor McGovern. They did it last year. It made a lot of sense, but I just don't think they're going to do that. So I think what they're leaning towards is maybe one of our backup tackles, whether it's Ty Nsekhe or Terrence Steele. And I'll be clear as day, if Joey Bosa is lined up on Terrence Steele, it's going to be a long day for us Cowboys fans. So hopefully Mike McCarthy will be smart enough just to kick Zach Martin over to right tackle and plug in Connor McGovern, who played great versus Tampa. But sometimes the Cowboys are hard-headed when it comes to decision-making. So it's really going to be a question mark probably until Wednesday or Thursday of this week until we find out how will this offensive line actually move moving forward. But if they're smart and they want to protect their investment in Dak Prescott, there's no way they toss Terrence Steele or Ty Nsekhe out there at right tackle. You just can't do that, but we'll see.
It's always interesting to see how teams really kind of handle these kind of situations, because it sounds like Connor McGovern is kind of the best backup on the team. And the Chargers have gone through some of these situations as well. Like last year, the best backup interior offensive lineman was Scott Quessenberry, but he was the backup center. And when Trey Turner got hurt, the previous coaching staff refused to put Scott Quessenberry at right guard. And it was just cycling through these inferior players at right guard. And it's like, you have Quessenberry right there. He's right there. Just put him in. So it is always interesting how these coaching staffs kind of, either they're flexible or they aren't. And
Exactly.
As a Chargers fan, I hope they're not. I hope the Cowboys are not.
Right? You guys should hope if you guys see Terrence Steele out there, oh man, it's going to be a field day. But I agree. Sometimes these coaches are just not flexible. Last year, we only became flexible because we had to. We had no other options, because if it was the Cowboys, their mindset, Connor McGovern wouldn't even play. And so, speaking of the other Connor Williams, he played right tackle at the University of Texas. So a lot of us are like, well, why don't you just move Connor Williams over to right tackle? But they never tried it. They tried him at center, which was a failed experiment this preseason. Like, why not put him where you saw him and drafted him? But who knows? So it remains to be unseen.
Yeah, and we'll have to keep an eye on that one for sure. We are recording this as of Monday, so maybe we'll get some more intel throughout the week, but definitely something to keep an eye on. I want to shift gears to talk about this insane passing attack that the Cowboys have this year. Obviously, Michael Gallup is injured, which hurts a little bit, but you still have Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, which I think is, if not the best receiving duo in the league this year, one of the best. So what's kind of the expectation for those two going forward this year?
Yeah, I think it's big expectations for not only Amari and CD, but also for Michael Gallup. I mean, before Dak went down last year, he was on a record-setting pace, before the Week 5 injury, and all three of those guys were on pace to be 1,000-yard wide receivers. And so I think, especially if we continue the game plan that we saw on Thursday night, I feel like you could have big seasons. Now, of course, Gallup could kind of be limited. I think he's going to be out until Week 5 or Week 6, possibly with the calf strain. But I think that a lot of Cowboys fans, myself included, were kind of accustomed to 21 pretty much carrying the load. I think that's no more. I think we're going to be more of a pass-focused team, more aligned with Kansas City, what you're seeing in Tampa. So the question mark is, how does Ezekiel Elliott really fit? Now, he did a great job on Thursday night in the blocking game for pass protection and different things like that. But when you play a player that caliber, that type of money, you want to see a little bit more. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this team starts to move forward with this new look offense. But yeah, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, they're great. Like, we have two number-1 wide receivers, and, it's a great gift to have.
It really is. And as a CeeDee Lamb fantasy owner, not this week. CD can take the week off in fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Going forward, I'm hoping for some big things from CeeDee Lamb this year.
Yeah. It's always the hard part. It's like, all right, I kind of want you to go off, but not this week. You're going to take a week off. So, but I think that you'll have a big week from CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. I think they'll continue from what we saw on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's certainly going to present quite a challenge for the Chargers secondary. And let's talk about the Dallas secondary, because I think the Cowboys have. I like Trayvon Diggs. I think Trayvon Diggs is a budding number-1 corner. But outside of Trayvon Diggs, what's kind of the mood around the Dallas secondary right now?
Barbecue chicken. As we saw on Thursday night, man, Antonio Brown was just rocking the baby. So we have Anthony Brown, who's our cornerback 2. And then we also have Jordan Lewis, who's our nickel guy. And to be honest with you guys, I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, I know it's where we originally talked on Twitter, is like, I'm still, you guys took my guy, Asante Samuel Jr. I wanted Asante.
We took 2 of your guys.
Yeah. So I keep saying, like, the Chargers listened to my draft content, because I was saying Sean Slater and Asante Samuel. It was so simple. You guys just took the easy picks, but I feel like right now, we're kind of limited with having Anthony Brown, because our pick who we chose over Asante Samuel and Kelvin Joseph out of Kentucky, he's out with the groin on IR, so he won't be back till Week 4, Week 5 possibly. We do have Nashawn Wright. He's extremely green. I highly doubt they're going to put him out there. And so I feel like what you guys saw versus Tampa, and I think Mike Williams already commented, it looks fun playing against our secondary. I think there's going to be a lot of fun on the Chargers end when it comes to playing against our secondary, because opposite of Trayvon Diggs, it's really just a pick of the litter. I know Justin Herbert's going to definitely see a lot of openings and opportunity on film. So it's going to be interesting to see how Dan Quinn starts to counter that.
Yeah, it really is. It's an interesting trend around the league, right? Because everybody was trying to do this Seattle cover 3 for a really long time. And now you kind of have like the remnants of it with Dan Quinn in Dallas and Gus Bradley in Las Vegas. But those are really like the only ones left that are trying to do it. And neither of them really have. Like, it's easy to run the Seattle defense when you have a Derwin James and Casey Hayward and Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman, but
exactly.
these teams like the Cowboys and Raiders just don't have those kind of players right now.
We don't, especially when it comes to our safety play. I mean, it's kind of just trial by fire because we have DeMonte KZ, J-Ron Curse, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, who didn't play too many reps. And so we're still trying to find who are those guys going to be. But it's not like Seattle when you had Earl Thomas and Cam Chan, like everything was already in sync. And so, moving forward, we definitely got to keep our eye, especially on the secondary, because even though Dan Quinn has often improved the run defense, which was our Achilles heel last year, well, our pass defense can't slide because you're basically just filling in one hole and then having another leak somewhere else. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how things start to come together. But Tom Brady, he wasn't touched. He just had, a field day versus our defense. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that carries over to week 2.
It really is. And to add kind of more mystery to that, you have Randy Gregory going on the COVID list today. So I think DeMarcus Lawrence is really, really good. But what can you tell everybody about the rest of that defensive line?
Yeah, Randy Gregory. So I feel like the Dallas Cowboys are the only ones starting to get hit with this COVID thing every week, and it's like a coin flip. Who's going to be in, who's going to be out? Now there's some optimism about Randy Gregory. I'm still being able to be ready for Sunday, but you just never know with this thing. So, that's going to be a definite big blow. DeMarcus Lawrence is a great player. I think a lot of Cowboys fans, we get frustrated with DeMarcus Lawrence because he just does his job. And I feel like we want a lot more. Like, he really doesn't jump off the screen. He really doesn't change things like you've seen, Garrett did yesterday, and those type of players, Joey Bosa. So I think that's what the expectations are for DeMarcus Lawrence. And so we'll kind of keep an eye on that. Opposite of DeMarcus Lawrence, if Randy Gregory's out, you might get Daryl Armstrong, Armstrong, who was a player out of KU, who's been there for about 3 to 4 years. Solid, but nothing to really be worried about. Also, Bradley Anai, Dorrance Armstrong, not Daryl Armstrong. That's basketball. I've been playing NBA 2K. Dorrance Armstrong. Then you also have Bradley Anai and then Terrell Basham. So some of these kind of filler guys. So that could definitely be a concern if Randy Gregory's out, because pressure is going to be critical versus you guys. In the interior, we have Osa Odighizuwa, one of our rookies.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Yeah. I got it. I got it by now. So he's actually, we're a lot optimistic about Osa. I mean, he's played great thus far, but he's still very young. And then you'll have either Carlos Watkins or Brent Urban. So as far as our defensive line, with the run game, it looked better. But here's what I keep saying. Tampa didn't even run against us a lot. And so we really don't know until we see it. And I think that you guys are going to be more balanced than what we saw through Tampa. So it's going to be interesting to see as our run defense really fixed. But Micah Parsons, that linebacker that we drafted, is helping a lot when it comes to the run game. So,
yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens this week without Gregory, because if I'm that defensive coordinator, like, I'm giving Parsons some more pass rush reps. Because I think he really has that skill set, not to be a full-time edge rusher, but, give him, 10, 15 pass rush reps, I think could open some things up. But then again, that means you have to put Jalen Smith on the field some more. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch for Dan Quinn this week.
Yeah. And the thing about, the going back versus Tampa, we were this close to getting Brady frequently. I mean, if you go to the last drive, I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence, he almost had a finger on that ball, and Trayvon Diggs almost intercepted it. But it's just that Tom Brady's just field awareness and pocket presence. He gets rid of the ball so quick. And so if our corners can actually cause Herbert to just hold the ball a little bit longer than we were causing Tom Brady, then you could see a lot more pressure than we saw Thursday night. But having Randy Gregory hurts tremendously because he's one of our best pass rushers.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get to your prediction, I want to just kind of get your general thoughts on the NFC East this year and how the Cowboys fit in. Obviously, the health of Ryan Fitzpatrick is really kind of throwing a loop in Washington's plans. I think Tyler Heineke has shown some good flashes, but he's really only played in 2 games. So I think everybody's kind of assuming that Washington, had been, maybe still is, kind of the second team, potentially a team that can challenge the Cowboys. How do you view Washington now that they have lost Ryan Fitzpatrick potentially for the season?
Yeah, we all know about Washington's defense, but I personally been saying I feel like if anyone's going to rival us in the NFC East, it's going to be the Giants. I feel like the Giants are a more complete team than Washington. I just feel like Washington last year, I mean, they really only won the division because Philly tanked that last game and lost on purpose. And so, honestly, the Giants should have been the division champs. But, I feel like Washington does have the talent. They don't have the quarterback, especially if Fitz is going to be out for an extended time. But with that defense, they're always going to be in the thick of things. But I feel like the Giants are a more complete team with their wide receiver core. Their defense is solid. And granted, Saquon only got me 4 points yesterday. I feel like Jason Garrett is going to find ways to utilize Saquon a lot more. And so I think the Giants will kind of be the second option as far as the NFC East is concerned, but also Philly, man, because you never can really sleep on Philly because they like that underdog role when everyone's counting them out. They typically thrive on that. And so I've been saying, I expect the NFC East not to be the NFC least anymore. I expect this to be a lot more competitive than what you saw last year. But I feel like as long as we can stay healthy as far as keeping Dak Prescott and some of these guys up throughout the season, I feel like the Dallas Cowboys should be the lead dog to win this division, and clearly.
Yeah, I think at this point it's pretty clearly the Cowboys division to lose, especially with the Fitzpatrick news. And hey, man, like if the Chargers can go up against the Washington defensive line and really protect Justin Herbert to a scale that none of us really foresaw, I think the Cowboys can certainly do even better job when you have Tyron Smith and Zach Martin and all those guys. So what's the win-loss prediction stand for you with the Dallas Cowboys right now?
So I had us at 10-7. I think I'm sticking with that.
Okay.
And I feel that because I haven't really seen what the Cowboys are like in the Mike McCarthy era. So I've been saying this, and a lot of Cowboys fans have been on my back about this, but I'm actually more concerned about this game versus you guys than I was versus the Bucs. And the reason why I say that is because the whole world was counting us out. I mean, heck, we was like 9.5-point underdogs by the time kickoff happened. You had all the impact, the Super Bowl ceremony, everything kind of going on. So it's easy to get up for those games. But now where are we? Everyone's giving Dak Prescott all the flowers, and now everyone's picking us to win. And typically once that happens, the Dallas Cowboys tend to settle. So I'm really kind of seeing how is Mike McCarthy going to get this team to continue to rally, block out the noise and everything starting to happen, because you're seeing now here comes suspensions with Lyle. Here comes Randy Gregory being out. And, all these things start to transpire. And so it's going to be interesting to see. But I think we'll be ready for game on Sunday. But, is it going to are we going to play with that same fire, that same sense of urgency? Remains to be unseen, because I've seen it. I've seen us, go toe-to-toe with some of the elites, or beat the Packers and turn around, lose the Jets and different things like that, because with the Cowboys it's always a roller coaster.
For the record, I do think that 10 wins sounds about right, but you said we're a little worried about this game, so let's get your prediction. What do you think the final score is on Sunday? Of course, you feel free to adjust your prediction by the time the game actually happens, because it is Monday, but what are you feeling right now the score ends up being?
As of right now, I feel like the Cowboys are going to win 31-27. It's going to be a close game. And I feel like because our secondary, if you guys are able to protect Herbert, I feel like with your wide receiver core, you can do whatever you want at will versus our secondary. And so I feel like it's going to really put us back into a corner where we're going to have to go back and forth and, play a more shootout style game again. And I think that's going to be what we're going to do majority of the season until we find a solution to our secondary, because, who's going to match up with Williams? You still got Keenan Allen, and even though we do have Trayvon Diggs, Keenan Allen is elite his dang self. And so that's a matchup there. You have Williams. You have one of my favorite players who was a Dallas Cowboy, and Jalen Guyton. You have Palmer. So you have so many of these different weapons out there. It's like, okay, and then you still have your running game as well. And so it's going to be interesting to see, how this matches up defensively versus your offense, which I'm really not confident with at this point, especially going into limited. So I feel like it's going to be a back and forth shootout style game, and it might come down to the last few possessions. Hopefully our field goal kicker doesn't leave us stranded again, and can make these simple kicks and extra points, but, because you can't afford to miss those little extra points like that, throughout the season in games with the competitive teams as yourself. And so, I think it's going to be a close game. And, I live here actually in Kansas City, so I'm actually calling you guys to really rival the Chiefs, because I feel like you guys are talented enough. You're going to turn the corner eventually, but, I feel like if it's going to be the second team in the AFC West, it should be you guys, if healthy.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And I do, it really feels different. If you've been following the Chargers for a while, that like anything that can go wrong generally goes
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
Outside of a season here or there, you know, like in 2018 when they stay pretty healthy. But and we've been there with the kickers, man. Like we understand that pain. So
it hurts.
we'll have to see that. Yeah, it does hurt. Well, Jordan, this has been great, man. Can't thank you enough for all the intel on the Cowboys. Chargers fans, make sure and follow Jordan at JTuck151. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that right there. If you're listening, go and follow him as well. We know that intel with the Cowboys is definitely a huge deal. Are you going to make the trip out?
Not to this one. So I actually just got back from Tampa, so I'm resting and recovering. But I know a lot of Cowboys fans are going to be out there and for that game. And so I think it's going to be kind of shifted towards Cowboys Nation because I know a lot of us are going out there. So it's going to be interesting. But I know that's kind of your guys' opening, ceremonial opening. So it's going to be a fun game. But I think that it's going to be a back and forth shootout. And here we go, football season, man.
Oh, man, I can't wait. This was a game that I had circled. So I am going. I live about 3 hours north of LA. So I can't wait making the road trip down. It's going to be a fun one. And I agree. I think it's going to be a lot of points. Definitely a matchup where you start every single skill player in fantasy that you can get your hands on.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Exactly. Yeah, I would start all of them.
Yeah.
And so.
All right, man. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.